Hi, I hope you're well today. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to deal with those moments where you feel like a failure, like you've slipped up. How to deal with those moments in a way that means that you don't just give up and throw the towel in. So many people describe to me that they've failed. They've maybe done a week, a few weeks, a few months, even a year plus of living life sober, and then they've failed. And what's an unhelpful approach to this is when you think of it as failure, because it isn't failure, because you've done those days, you've done those weeks, you've done those months, or even those years sober. So that is a huge success. So to start with, it really helps if you can focus on the success that you've done, where you've been successful, rather than focusing on the one time that you were triggered, the one time that you kind of caved in and you slipped up. So that can make a difference, is focusing on where you've been successful, rather than focusing on where you've slipped up. And the other thing that can help is when lots of people say to me, and I can remember doing this myself, lots of people say that they kind of think that they didn't try hard enough, that because they feel like a failure, it kind of feels impossible that they'll ever be able to live permanently and successfully sober, because they just can't do it, because they've failed. So it becomes a kind of overwhelming impossibility in their minds. And they think to themselves, well, I was trying my hardest. I was really trying and I couldn't do it. Therefore, it's impossible. And that's the kind of logic in their minds. And I want to suggest that rather than thinking about trying to do something, trying harder, or, putting your energy into trying the same thing over and over again and getting the same results. So with me, it was parties. Every time I went to a party, I would drink. And I tried to go to parties and not drink. I would say to myself in advance, right, I'm not going to drink at the weekend. I'm not going to drink on Friday. I'm not going to drink. I wouldn't take any drink with me to the party, but then there'd be loads on offer. And somebody had come up to me with a free glass of bubbly or something, or a G&T or a lager, whatever, and I'd drink. And I made the same mistake over and over and over and over again. And so it kind of conditioned my brain to think that it was impossible for me to go to parties and stay sober. And of course that wasn't true. I go to parties now and I stay sober, no problem at all. But at the time I was programming my mind to believe that I couldn't do it, that this was impossible for me. And of course, believing that that was impossible for me meant that I felt that no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't do it. And it's that word try that I want to focus on today, because when we think about trying something and trying harder, when we're beating ourselves up with a big stick and just saying to ourselves, that was me beating myself up, by the way, in case you wondered what the hell I was doing, that was me beating myself up. When you're beating yourself up with a big stick and describing yourself or thinking of yourself as a failure because you weren't able to do it, and you've gone back to drinking again, and you just think, well, I need to try harder next time. I didn't try hard enough. That word try is very misleading and unhelpful. I don't know if you've ever watched, I've got no idea which Star Wars episode it was in, which film it was in. I'm not a particular Star Wars fan, but I know, I'm doing this to show you the little character of Yoda. That little Yoda character, there's a famous quote that he said, which was, let me remember this correctly. It's something like, there is only do or not do, there is no try. And basically, there is a fundamental scientific, neuroscientific logic behind that Yoda quote. It actually works. It's true. When you're trying to do something, you're effectively giving the unconscious part of your mind, the part of your mind that's 90% responsible for what you're doing and thinking and feeling, You're giving that unconscious part of your mind permission to not bother, basically. So if I say to myself, I don't know, somebody invites me to something and I say, oh yeah, I'll try and make it. As soon as I say that word try, my unconscious takes it as that's permission to not bother. That's permission to not go. It's just an excuse. As soon as I hear somebody use the word try to me, I know they're not going to do the thing that they say they're going to try and do. So if I invite somebody to something and they say to me, oh no, let me think of an example. So I was chatting to someone at the weekend and I was actually coaching someone and he had a couple of actions to take away with him. And one of the things that he said as he was leaving was, yeah, I'll try and get these done before I see you next week. And as soon as he said that word try, I knew that he wasn't going to do them. Because the word try gives you permission to not do. And as Yoda says, there is either do or there is don't do. That try doesn't exist. Trying isn't a thing. Trying, it doesn't achieve anything. It's nothing tangible. You're either going to do something or you're not going to do it. And the difference it makes to your brain is really crucial. If you tell yourself, yeah, I'm going to go to this party and I'm not going to drink, and you tell yourself that's what you're going to be doing, you prepare for it, you plan for it, you've decided already that that's what you're going to do, you will do it. You will carry that out because you'll have planned and prepared in advance. You'll be ready for the challenges. You'll be ready for the hurdles and the obstacles that are coming your way. If you think to yourself, like I used to do all those times that I didn't get it right, if you think to yourself, oh yeah, I'm going to try not drinking this weekend, I'm going to really try hard not to drink at this party, just that phrase, I'm going to really try hard, gives you permission to not do it. So my point is this, don't bother trying to do anything. It doesn't work. Either decide you're going to do something, decide you're not going to drink at the party, decide you're not going to drink on Friday night, on Saturday night, and in making that decision, put plans in place to help you through. Because putting plans in place to help you through will help you to do it successfully. And if you don't do it successfully, that's okay. Because you can learn from it. You can see it as a learning point rather than a failure. When you see it as a learning point, you can analyse it, you can reflect on it, you can think, well, I prepared, I planned, I did A, B and C, and I still ended up reaching for the bottle. What was the precise trigger moment where I reached for the bottle? And how can I cope with that trigger moment differently next time? So instead of beating yourself up, instead of thinking in terms of trying, instead of viewing yourself as a failure or failing at something, focusing on your successes, where you've been successful is good. Reflecting on why you slipped up, the moment you slipped up, and how you could deal with a similar moment to that differently in the future is good. And deciding in advance to either do or not do, but don't trick yourself with that word try. It doesn't work. Your unconscious doesn't buy into it, doesn't believe it. It just doesn't work. So instead of try harder, do differently. Think differently, do differently. Even doing just one small thing differently can have a ripple effect on the rest of your life and can help bring about success. So when I'd gone from that, I don't know, 2 years worth, 3 years worth even, of trying and not doing, trying to live sober and not doing it very successfully much of the time, I'd spent a couple of years doing all that trying, and in the end, I just decided to do. I just decided to do it. It got to that point where I just decided to do it. But in making that decision, there needs to be something that you do differently. There needs to be some planning, some preparation, and something that you're going to do differently. One small thing. The one small thing I did differently, which just had this massive ripple effect throughout my life and my world, was that I decided to sit still for 10 to 20 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, and just breathe. It was very challenging for me to sit still and do nothing. I was very good at being active. I was very good at running away. I was very good at escaping, running away from my emotions, running away from myself because I didn't like myself very much. So for me, the one thing that I could do, not try, but actually do differently, was to sit still and breathe and just be with myself. And that was a real big challenge for me. But in doing that, it enabled me to build a better relationship with myself. And this is the ripple effect happening. That one small thing I was doing differently every day for 10, 15 minutes enabled me to build a better relationship with myself, connect with myself in a healthier way. In connecting with myself in a healthier way, I was losing shame, I was losing regret, I was losing guilt. And in losing all of those things, I was gaining more self-confidence, self-esteem. And in gaining confidence and self-esteem, I was being more authentically me in my interactions and relationships with other people. I was looking people in the eye. I was being authentically me. I was fully present in the moment. And in doing all of that, I was being more productive. I was having better relationships with people. I was getting fitter and healthier because I could stick to my nutritional goals. I could stick to my fitness and workout goals. So my whole life just kind of snowballed into this better place to be, just because I did that one small thing differently. No failure, only learning points. No try, only do. And when you decide to do, plan. Do one small thing differently, plan and prepare for it. Make sure you've got everything in place. And if you don't succeed on occasion, reflect and analyse on why and plan to do something differently about that next time. If you want more motivation, inspiration and encouragement for stopping drinking and living life happily and healthily sober, you can subscribe to my channel. I'll look forward to catching up with you very soon, but in the meantime, let's go get sober together.